Good afternoon and welcome to NHADEC's Lunchtime Connections. Today is Wednesday, April 18th, 2018, and today we'll be hearing from Mercury Systems, ArgenTech Solutions, and the McAuliffe Shepard Discovery Center. The purpose of this webinar is to introduce NHADEC members to one another and to give each one the opportunity to tell us about their business and their capabilities. My name is Stephanie McLaughlin, and I will be your host today. I am the Principal of Savoir-Faire Marketing Communications. I am a NHADEC member and as well a member of the NHADEC's Marketing Committee. The format of today's webinar is as follows. We have three companies presenting. Each presenter will have approximately 8 minutes to talk about their company. And at the end of each presentation, there'll be a short period of Q&A. You're welcome to either ask a question of the presenter directly, or you may type your question into the chat pane and I can pose the question to them. I will be monitoring time and keeping us on track today, and if we're running short, I may close Q&A, at which point folks still with questions left are certainly welcome to connect with the presenter directly. You can raise your hand in the webinar controls or use the chat pane if you have any questions for me during the webinar. And with that, I think we're going to get started. Now I'd like to introduce ArgenTech Solutions. And today we have Dave Looney with us, who will be presenting on behalf of Rita Hunt.
Good afternoon, or good morning, wherever you are.
Good morning.
So I am stepping in for Rita. Rita had something else. She was pulled away, a family deal. So I apologize if I can't answer some question that she's embedded in here for me. But ArgenTech Solutions, I go to the next slide. We are a UAS services provider, and we have overseas and domestic interests. Go ahead, slide. So we got started in the UAS services business there in March 2009 in full force, and our main focus is providing to Boeing in situ, providing people for their overseas commitments in the Scan Eagle program. And they have over in different port operating bases all across the Southwest Asia. They have places where they're using the Scan Eagle to do overwatch over these different FOBs. And if you're unfamiliar with Scan Eagle, it's a catapult launched and skyhook recovered, about a 55-pound unit that has a multi-sensor array, both EO and IR. And it loiters or is directed by the operator and to go surveil and provide tactical situational awareness in the field to whomever requires it that's supporting the base, whether they're watching for IED plants or they're, following a convoy, et cetera, something like that. So our operators go over there 4 to 6 months, then return back to the States for a period of time and then go back over. So we've got about 30 or 40 of those seats usually with Boeing in situ, and we've been doing that since March 2009. That's where we've accumulated the 2,000 hours of PIC, or pilot and command time. The other things we list there, the GIS support for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Forest Service in particular. The GIS specialists would travel out to wildfires and provide mapping solutions and the expertise in order to produce maps on site and help the Forest Service plan and tactically operate during the wildfire program. We were hired last year for Lockheed Martin to help set up they had a commercial UAV services branch that they wanted to start up. We were asked to set up their entire program from their general operations manual on down. So we spent a bunch of time working with Lockheed Martin on that, and still have an association there to provide services for their in support mainly of their Stalker program, which that platform is mainly DoD vendors that buy that system, and then we can go help and train those those troops in the operation. We've also done some range manager stuff, which is UAS development for beyond visual line of sight, and the testing, and that's ongoing for the FAA to help figure out their regulations. In commercial operations, we're really just opening up that side. It's restricted somewhat by the BV laws, the beyond visual line of sight restrictions. The photogrammetry, you're providing detailed high-density 3D point clouds with either photography, aerial photography, which we can do much cheaper than with a normal manned platform. LiDAR, which is even more detailed and incredibly accurate for survey type stuff. And then thermal imagery using a FLIR systems that can take pictures and tell you whether or not there's hot spot on a solar panel or on a roof or on an electrical grid. And then multispectral and agricultural mapping. Slide. There's examples of what we're talking about there. You see the upper right is the thermal, the lower, larger picture there with the commercial development, the downtown development. That's a LiDAR image, and that's a 3D point cloud that you pick up, turn around. Multispectral analysis is really good for agriculture. You can tell where you need to lay down pesticides or irrigate, etc. Slide. The flight department, for us, we've concentrated on bringing in some, mainly military but also civilian manned aircraft flyers to enhance the safety and program development. And that's actually me on the left. Down, I'm in Colombia. We have an association with an affiliate company training a couple of Colombian ex-military UAS pilots that working for a company down there called Mura, which we set up. We also have another affiliate company in South Africa, and we've had work with bids out with OSCE, Operation for Security and Cooperation in Europe, to support potentially work surveilling in Ukraine. And let's see, I think that was it over there. We do, if people are starting out in the UAS business, we can help them set up their programs and for both regulatory compliance and information effectiveness. We've got a very robust experience in the import-export area, which is, obviously dealing with systems that you're buying, whether buying a Seeker UAS or a Reach or something from South Africa, and you've got to import that. Then there's ITAR stuff that happens with the aircraft itself, and also, of course, the sensors may be ITAR controlled and dealing with whatever information that's going in and out. So we've had quite a bit of experience with that. Our CEO and one of our other board members are both Navy sub guys, and they're very good at being detailed oriented when it comes to those types of regulations. Next slide. We've just set up a place in Concord, where I'm at right now, Concord, New Hampshire, and we're developing the ability to bring UAS companies in here and help them train their pilots and set up their programs. There's an example of some of the systems that we have currently. The Vapor is a very robust system that can hold a variety of sensors, and that's our main LiDAR. And then the other smaller systems are great for training. So that's about it. I can take whatever questions you have. There's not me. That's Rita, obviously.
Right. So if a company is looking for help or interested in working with ArgenTech, is it Rita that they're looking to connect with?
Yeah, Rita's probably your best point of contact. She comes to us from the New Hampshire Department of Transportation. She's very well connected in this area, and she's the lead on setting up our Concord training facility. So if they're looking to set up UAS operations or answer questions on how they need to do that, particularly in New Hampshire, she's going to be the best resource you can possibly imagine.
Fantastic. One other question for you. It really sounds like there's a broad offering from the company. Is there a specific area that you would consider to be ArgenTech's specialty?
The thing I think that sets us apart compared to other small business UAS companies is the import-export stuff. We've run in over and over again into other small businesses that are either not complying because of ignorance, or they're just not getting, mainly it's ignorance, or they just don't care and they just want to go get the business done. But of course that bites them later on down the road. So it's a very methodical approach. Like as I mentioned, when you're dealing with former Navy subsurface guys, you can expect to follow things on a checklist, and that's the way you have to do it. You have to plan for that type of those are business requirements that you have to meet. So that's where we've noticed successfully being able to operate in that environment, and also with the enhanced safety that comes from being detailed in those areas.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We're pleased to have you a part of the presentation.
Thank you.